Oh, goodness. The show is starting? Well, welcome. Welcome to Paradise, Love, and Veggies. I'm Samantha Janes. I guess I better go get ready for the day. Super excited. Today we're at my friend Jeannie's house. She is one of the most prolific canners I've ever known. It's absolutely unbelievable to me how much she cans every year. So today she's going to tell us a little bit about what tools you need to can and a little bit about actually the difference between a water bath and a pressure cooker, which I don't know anything about. So let's see if she's here. Hi. Hi. Come on in. All right. Thanks. Okay, so I had some questions for you. First of all, how did you actually get into canning? You can so much, it really blows my mind um, what you put up every year. So how did you get into canning?
How did I get into canning? That's a good question. So I grew up with my mom and dad raising a really big garden in Colorado, and so they grew beets and carrots and cucumbers, and they had grapes. So we canned a lot. Well, I didn't, but I observed it and got to eat it. And so that's kind of how I grew up and how I kind of learned. And so then when I became an adult, I just wanted to do it, not because it was a necessity, but because I wanted to. I kind of feel like I'm like a little squirrel. I like to, put everything away for the winter and then you can just enjoy it. It's kind of a love-hate relationship because you love to eat the stuff in the winter, but it's a lot of work. So, but yeah, it's a really good thing.
How much do you actually can a year, Jeannie? And how many months, like over how many months are you actually canning? I'm guessing it's mostly during the summer?
So, how many cans or jars did I do last year? That's a good question. Well, in a normal year, I probably don't do as many as I did last year, but because of the pandemic, I canned everything in sight. So, from March till October, that's my growing season. So from March to October, I canned. So in March we got tuna. So I canned tuna was my first thing, and then ending with zucchini relish and plums. Plums are one of the last things. So you asked how many jars did I do? So last year I would say I canned over 700 jars.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
No wonder we couldn't find any jars in this county. And just for viewers to clarify, so the the round, the insert lid, you can reuse that like if you're just putting leftovers in a jar or something, but actually to get the seal, there's that rubber gasket part around, and so it's really important. You have to have a new one for that to actually seal up, right?
Right, because once it's sealed, you'll see it's got like a dip into it, and new lids don't have that dip. And so, yeah, it would be very unsafe to reuse this lid in a canner. It just won't seal, and if it did, it wouldn't be very safe.
Do you have a favorite thing that you like to can?
What's my favorite thing to can? That's a really hard question, Samantha. So because I can everything from salmon, tuna, I can deer and elk, I can zucchini relish, salsa, pears, jam. So I guess my favorite thing would be zucchini relish, and that was my husband's grandma's recipe. So she was a canner as well, and she created this recipe to use up the garden produce like onions, zucchini, green peppers, and then it's got a combination of turmeric and apple cider vinegar. So that's my favorite thing to can.
What about a least favorite thing that you don't like to can?
And my least favorite thing to can would be tomatoes. And that's because it's kind of a work. You have to peel. So you get the tomatoes really hot, and then you peel them, and then you put them in a cold bath, and then you can dice them or just throw them in your jar whole. So it's good, but it's a lot of work.
Oh, it sounds like a lot of work.
So yeah.
There's a lot of different things that, well, that's not true. There's not that many things that you need. But Jeannie's going to tell us about, like these. I have absolutely no idea what these are. So what are these things? They look kind of like a puzzle, Jeannie. Are they used together?
Okay, Samantha. No, it's not a puzzle. But that's a good question. So this one is when you have your jar and you have all of your produce in the jar, it's to get all of the air bubbles out.
Oh, okay. I would have had no idea. I probably would have stuck it in a pot with the plant and thought it was a piece of art.
You could, but don't pull it out when you're ready to can.
Okay, I'm pretty sure I know what these are. Funnels, right?
Yes, you're correct. And this one is a collapsible funnel in case you're short on space. But these are super important. You can't have too many of them because it's kind of hard to put the stuff in the jar without a funnel.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, you're right. It would be really hard to get that in. And can you show viewers how that one collapses? Oh, awesome. Oh, yeah, that could save a lot of space in a drawer.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Again, I think I know what this is, Jeannie. These are for taking the hot jars out of the water.
You're correct. These are to get the jars out of the canners when they're hot because you don't want to burn yourself. So yeah, you just kind of do your fingers.
And do those little rubberized things on the end, those I'm guessing kind of grip so they're not slipping or you don't have hot metal on a hot jar?
Right. Yeah, you don't want to break your jar after you can it.
No.
So yeah, it's to stick it and pull it to grip it.
Awesome. Jeannie, do you have any idea what this is? A friend gave it to me and it has a crate thing. It's super cool. I just don't really know what it's used for.
Your little mystery equipment is, this is to, like, let's say you cook up a bunch of apples and you can just cook them up like whole and then you throw them in here, and this is called a food mill.
Oh.
Yeah, so you just stick your stuff in hot and then rotating this around will get all of the seeds and the peels off and all the stuff. You can just make your sauce.
Those holes at the bottom aren't very big. Would things actually go through there? Mm-hmm. Really?
Yeah,
wow.
because you're grinding it and you're pushing it down.
Oh, okay. Oh, awesome. Well, thanks for letting me know what that was.
Yeah, no problem.
It's really important when you can to actually do it right, or else you can get really, really sick. So Jeannie's going to show us the difference between doing what's called a water bath and then using a pressure cooker. We're not actually going to do a true water bath today, and we're not going to use the pressure cooker today, but she's going to talk about the differences of both types of canning, and so we can get a little bit of an idea kind of what that looks like.
Okay, so the difference between canners, you've probably seen one of these before because your grandma or your mom probably canned a bunch of things. So this, we'll start with this. So this is our water bath canner. So this canner is good for anything of a high acid food content.
Like, give an example. Tomatoes, high acid?
Tomatoes have high acid. So like most fruits, so tomatoes, plums, like any fruit, like peaches, pears, that kind of thing.
What about jams or jellies? Would that be considered high
Yep.
as well? Okay.
So jams, jellies, and you can do like pickles because they have vinegar in them. So pickles, zucchini relish, salsa, you have vinegar content plus tomatoes. So anything that you want to reach, because the water bath canner is going to go to 212 degrees.
Oh.
And so when you're canning, you're going to pop your jars in here, and as long as you have the water over your jars, then that's a full canning. So yeah, so you just want to make sure that like you're not canning any low acid foods in here because it's super dangerous and not safe to consume.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the water bath counter. And then obviously our low acid foods you have to do.
And give us some ideas of a low, I know you named pretty much everything under the sun, but give me an example.
Yeah, so that low acid foods are like green beans, corn, pinto beans, carrots, lots of things that come out like spinach. You can even do like greens, like mustard greens, tuna. You have to do meats in the pressure canner as well. And I know a lot of people are kind of scared. It's probably what another question is. They terrify you because of the steam, and if they're not locked perfectly, it can blow up. That's kind of a wise tale, but yes, you do want to respect your canner. You don't want to just willy-nilly not look at any videos and just start pressure canning. But it's really not that scary.
So I am kind of, my mind's kind of blown. I've only done water bath canning before, and I guess I was lucky because I made jams and some fruit, so I kind of lucked out. I actually thought that the two different, I thought it was like a personal preference of what you wanted to can with, but it's actually not. It's specific to the type, or what you're actually canning is specific to what type of cooker you're going to use.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So how does the actual, what's the science behind the pressure cooker? How can you explain to viewers how that kind of works? You obviously fill it with water to start.
Yeah. Okay, so when I say low acid foods, there is a reason why you have to use the pressure canner, because the water bather only gets up to 212 degrees, but the pressure canner gets up to 240 degrees. So if it's a low acid food like green beans out of your garden, you want to make sure that you kill all the bacteria. So it has to get up to 240 degrees. And so it's a safety thing, as well as doing meat. You have to have it up to 240 degrees. It's just not safe at all. So.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Well, thank you for explaining that.
Yeah, so I'll kind of show you the inside of the pressure canner, and we'll kind of just briefly go over this because we will be canning with the pressure canner later. But this is a double stacker, so you can do anywhere between, I think I can fit 14 pint jars in here, and this is a pint, so each pint is 2 cups, so you can fit 14.
And I see something in the bottom of that. Is that going to go in between your layers?
Yeah, so this one's the bottom to kind of protect it because it's not completely flat on the bottom.
Oh, I see. Okay, so a little bit of air and water, or water space, I guess, is going between the bottom and then your jars.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Sam, I filled this up to about 2 inches of water on the bottom. You can kind of see where it's black. That's been.
Oh, okay, yeah, we can.
So I put about 2 inches in there, and then once you do the bottom layer of jars, you're going to put this in the middle, so then you can put more jars on top.
And you're only using like 2 inches of water the whole time. I was thinking you filled up that, but that would be way, oh, I see from your eyes, that would be way too much pressure. Then you would have an issue.
You might have a problem.
Yeah, okay. Good thing you're explaining this to me.
Yeah, so then that's going to go between your jars because you want them to sit level and you don't really want them to sit on top of each other. So that's where breakage can happen.
Oh.
So then you're going to do your top level, and then you're going to throw your lid on, and you want to vent it. So once you put your lid on tight, you're going to start your stove. And you can do this on a glass stove, electric stove. These have to be really careful, but yeah, you can do that. So once you close it, you're going to turn your stove on, let it vent out of this for about 10 minutes. Oh. And so what that's doing is getting
And you would see steam kind of coming out of there?
Yeah, you see steam, and that's to get all of the oxygen out of here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So once that's 10 minutes, this is going to pop. And then this is the weight. So this will, and you throw it on, and it'll stop steaming, and it'll start going up on the gauge.
Oh.
To whatever poundage you want.
Okay.
And then you set your timer
And so give me an idea, let's say green beans versus, let's say, canned fish. So what's the time? Like how long would green beans be cooked for?
Green beans are like 15 minutes.
Oh, it goes pretty fast.
Yeah, so green beans are pretty fast versus like meat, like tuna, you can for 80 minutes.
Oh, 80?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You can almost watch a movie during the canning of some fish.
Yeah, except you don't want to because you're always constantly looking at your pressure to making sure that it stays at you're either 10 or 15 pounds, whatever the recipe calls for. Because if it goes under, then it's not safe. It has to stay
so you would be adjusting the heat or the temperature on your stove.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, those are big questions. But yeah, you just want to make sure. And then once it's done, you do not open it until this little doohickey has completely bottomed. And there's absolutely, so there'll be zero pressure, but this thing needs to go down, and then you can open your pressure canner.
Oh, okay. I didn't really, I guess I missed a part of that. So that little piece there.
This little piece will pop up when it's canning.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And so this is like the second release of all oxygen.
Okay.
And then once this comes down and this goes to zero, then you are safe to open up your canner. Okay.
All right. Well, that makes sense.
Because if you open up your canner before this turns down and you're zero, that's when you'll have an explosion, and you will break all your jars.
Oh.
And then all that hard work
out the window.
So that's really the only scary thing. Is just like I said, is having a respect and just doing it right. It's not as scary. It's really not. I mean, I didn't go to any canning classes. You just be smart, you know. So yeah. So that's the pressure canner.
Thank you for explaining that.
Yeah.
Well, this has been really awesome. Thank you so much, Jeannie, for letting us come by and telling us about the parts and pieces of canning. And I'm looking forward to doing some canning with you in the future.
Thanks for coming. And the next time I see you, we're going to be making Mexican beans. So,
ooh.
Yeah, this is our, it's not my recipe, but it is a recipe that's so amazing. It's one of our staples that you can can any time of the year. It's half pinto and half black beans.
Mm.
So, and it also has all your taco seasonings in here with some tomato sauce. So,
that sounds delicious. Well, I'm going to look forward to that. Thank you.
Yeah, so go home and try it out, and then we'll can it up next time.
All right.
See you soon.
Well, I hope you enjoyed today's show. I sure learned a lot from Jeannie about canning, and I'm looking forward to going back and making some of her canned beans because that sounds really delicious. I've got to get back to work here at the farm. Thanks for watching Paradise Love and Veggies. I'm Samantha Janes. We'll see you next time.